They told you to wait. Wait until you've made it. Wait until you've won. Wait until the world recognizes you. But here's the truth they never taught in school. Winners don't win and then think like winners. They think like winners before the world gives them permission, before the applause, before the breakthrough, before anyone believes in them. That moment, the moment when the world sees you, is never the beginning. It's the aftermath, the shadow of a war you already fought in silence. And either you train your mind like a battlefield general, or you surrender it to the noise. Let me tell you something. No one remembers the nights when Thomas Edison sat alone in his lab, trying, failing, trying again. They only see the light bulb. But what forged the light bulb wasn't science, it was belief. It was a man willing to fail 10,000 times because he thought like a winner before he ever lit up the world. You want to become someone that history remembers? Start by thinking like someone who refuses to be forgotten. Because the world doesn't give you permission to rise. You take it. In your thoughts, in your decisions, in the silence of your own mind. And it starts with this question. What do you believe when no one's watching? What story do you play behind your eyes? Are you just surviving the day? Or are you rehearsing a destiny? Listen carefully. The most dangerous man in the room is not the one with all the answers. It's the one who's already decided who he is. You don't stumble into greatness. You don't drift into legacy. You declare it. You train for it. You think in its language long before the fruits show up on the tree. But society trains you to worship results, to kneel before trophies, to define yourself by outcomes. That's why most people never start, because they can't see the ending, so they don't begin the walk. But a winner, a real winner, doesn't wait to see it. He feels it. He believes it. And that belief begins to bend the world in his favor. Do you think Walt Disney built an empire because everyone believed in him? He was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination, rejected over 300 times for funding, slept on a bench with nothing but a sketch pad and a dream. And yet he didn't curse the world for not seeing it. He just kept seeing it clearer than anyone else. That's what thinking like a winner is. It's not arrogance. It's not fake confidence. It's the unshakable inner knowing that your reality is being built brick by invisible brick, even when all the world sees is air. So, the first rule is this. You do not wait to feel like a winner. You think like one until your life bends to match it. You don't become disciplined after success. You build it now, in the cold. You don't become clear after the chaos. You sharpen your clarity in the storm. You don't earn vision once you're free. You forge it while you're still in chains. A man with vision can walk through fire. A man without it will drown in a puddle. And that's where most people lose the game before it starts. Because their vision is not their own. They inherited it from their fears, from their parents, from a system that told them to dream responsibly, to be realistic, to fit in. But here's the secret no one told you. Realism is just fear dressed in a suit and tie. Winners are not realistic. They are precise in their delusion. They believe in things that don't yet exist and have the audacity to act as if they already do. That's how you attract success. Not by hoping, not by wishing, but by aligning, by tuning your inner world so powerfully that the outside world has no choice but to respond. The universe doesn't speak words. It speaks frequency. And your thoughts are the radio tower. So what are you broadcasting? Desperation? Doubt? Despair? Or purpose, clarity, and conviction? You don't get what you want. You get what you expect, what you embody, what you prepare for in advance, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. Lincoln lost 8 elections before he became president. 8. He wasn't chasing approval. He was chasing alignment with a vision bigger than himself. You have to stop thinking of success as something you get. It's something you become. It's not a destination. It's a mindset, a state of being. A tree doesn't struggle to become an oak. It just grows in the direction it was meant to. And you were never meant to shrink to fit into this world's expectations. You were born to stretch into the impossible. But that stretch hurts. It costs comfort. It costs people. It costs being misunderstood. And that's why most never do it. They fold under the pressure of being different. But a winner is forged by that very pressure. The diamond doesn't apologize for being born from violence. It shines anyway. And neither should you. You don't wait for life to crown you. You show up like royalty every damn day. Even when you're broke. Even when you're tired. Even when it looks like nothing is working. That's the moment you're closest to the edge of something miraculous right before the breakthrough. And that's where you either think like a winner or think like a victim. Victims wait. Winners build. Victims complain. Winners construct. Victims blame. Winners become. And every day you have a choice to slip into the identity the world hands you, or to forge your own in fire. So stop looking for proof. Start becoming the evidence. Be the person others point to and say, I don't know how they did it. Because by then it's too late, you already are. Not because it was easy, not because the path was paved, but because you thought like a winner before you ever won. You see, thinking like a winner isn't loud. It's not boastful. It doesn't need to scream for attention, because true power moves in silence. It sharpens in solitude. It whispers to itself in the dark, I am not finished yet. And then it gets back to work. The ones who win before they ever win are the ones who've trained themselves in the shadows, trained to walk with intention, to breathe with purpose, to move as if the throne already belongs to them, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. And that kind of alignment, it starts with clarity. If your mind is a battlefield, then clarity is your sword. Because the fog will come. The doubt will creep in. The world will throw 10,000 opinions at your feet and demand that you follow. But when you are clear, when your purpose is forged into steel, no noise can shake you. Carnegie didn't build steel empires with half-formed dreams. He saw something that didn't exist and decided it was real enough to build. Not someday now. He didn't ask for permission. He asked, what must I become to make this real? And that's the question most never ask. They chase outcomes. But the winners, the real ones, chase evolution. They look at the mountain and smile because they know the climb will reveal who they were meant to be. Every setback, a lesson. Every failure, a mirror. Every delay, a test of vision. You must become dangerous in your clarity. So clear on who you are and where you're going that nothing, not fear, not failure, not time, can confuse you. Because indecision is death. It kills more dreams than failure ever could. And the winner thinks decisively, acts boldly, speaks rarely, but with the weight of thunder when they do. But clarity without purpose? That's just motion without meaning. So once you know where you're going, ask why. Why must I do this? Why me? Why now? And if the answer doesn't make your bones tremble, dig deeper. Because the fuel to endure, to rise, to keep showing up when nothing works, that comes from purpose. Not from applause. Not from likes. Not from any currency the world trades in. Purpose is what made Mandela stand tall after 27 years in prison. It's what made Helen Keller speak to the world without ever seeing it. It's what made Michael Jordan shoot in the gym long after the cameras left. Purpose turns your pain into power. It takes your trauma and teaches it to roar. It turns every scar into a scripture and says, this is what I stand for. And when you move with that kind of purpose, discipline is no longer punishment, it's devotion. You wake up before the sun, not because you have to, but because you get to. Because every second is sacred, every hour is a brick, And winners they build while others sleep. They know the path is not about doing what you feel like. It's about doing what must be done. Not once, not twice, but every day, especially when it's hard. Discipline is the bridge between the vision in your head and the world that gets to see it. And every time you show up tired, unsure, alone, you're laying another stone. You think Edison wanted to fail again? That Ford enjoyed being laughed out of the room for imagining a horseless carriage? They didn't love the pain, they just respected the process. Because once you think like a winner, you no longer beg for ease. You crave the edge. You seek the struggle. Because you know that's where the fire burns the brightest and the gold is refined. But action is the proof of belief. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's the line that most never cross. Thinking is preparation. Believing is fuel. But action, that's the storm. And you must become the kind of person who moves not when it's safe, not when it's easy, but when the fire is still only smoke in your imagination. Because winners don't wait to feel ready. They train themselves to move while their hands still shake, to speak before the voice is steady, to step before the path is lit. Every empire was once a risk. Every legacy started as a leap. And every leap, every single one was taken before certainty ever showed up. So if you're still waiting for the green light from the world, here it is. Go. Move. Speak. Build. Not later. Now. And as you move, remember this: gratitude is not weakness. It is ammunition. Because when the world tries to pull you down with chaos, gratitude pulls you up with clarity. It reminds you that even now, you are becoming. Even now, the breath in your lungs is a sign that destiny is still unfolding. Be thankful before it's finished. Celebrate the dirt beneath your feet, not just the view from the peak. Because the man who gives thanks in the valley, he's already walking like a king. And when gratitude lives in your chest like a heartbeat, something profound begins to happen. The setbacks lose their sting. The delays lose their weight. Because you're no longer measuring yourself by how fast you win. You're measuring yourself by how deeply you live, how relentlessly you continue, how fully you show up, even when the world offers nothing in return. This is where adaptability is born. The moment when the storm changes direction, and instead of breaking, you bend. You pivot. You dance with the chaos like it was always part of the choreography. Winners don't avoid uncertainty. They master it. They speak the language of change. Because they know this truth: the path will never look like the plan. It never has. It never will. Henry Ford didn't start by building the Model T. He started with failure, with a burned-out first company, with rejection, with humiliation. But the blueprint wasn't in the business plan. It was in the mindset. And when you understand that, you stop asking for the map. You become the compass. You become the one who adapts, who learns, who recalibrates without losing the mission. Because resilience is not about bouncing back. It's about growing through. It's what keeps your knuckles bloody but your fists raised. It's what lets you cry at night and still rise in the morning with fire in your gut. It's what separates the ones who almost made it from the ones who never stopped. There will be days when the voices in your head sound like your worst enemy. Days when the mirror reflects nothing but doubt. But hear this: you do not owe anyone your surrender. Not the past. Not the pain. Not the circumstances that tried to chain you down. You owe them your rise. Because the mind of a winner is not fragile. It is forged in disappointment. It is bulletproofed by loss. It does not break, it evolves. And that evolution is fueled by learning. The world will try to shame you for not knowing. But the winner? He devours knowledge like oxygen. He studies his failures. He dissects his patterns. He questions his old programming with surgical precision. Not because he's unsure, but because he's unwilling to stay small. Every hour spent reading, listening, watching, it's another arrow in the quiver, another sharpened blade, another tool for the war you are waging in silence. Andrew Carnegie had mentors. Napoleon Hill himself? He studied the minds of 500 of the most successful people of his time. He didn't wait to become the master. He apprenticed under greatness. He asked, he learned, he absorbed. And so must you, because pride is a poor teacher. But humility is the gateway to power. Winners do not pretend to know it all. They're too busy becoming more. They let the lessons pierce them. They let correction refine them. They build from feedback, not ego. And slowly, brick by brick, thought by thought, action by action, they build a mind that no one can break. That's what it means to think like a winner before you ever win. To see the invisible structure forming beneath your feet. To trust the process when the results are silent. To rise each morning not with proof but with presence. You're not walking like a winner because the world gave you permission. You're walking like a winner because you refuse to wait for it. Because the throne belongs to the one who thinks like royalty in exile, not the one who waits for the crown to feel worthy. This is the battlefield of becoming, where your mind is the weapon. Your choices are the armor. Your vision is the command. And make no mistake, you will be tested. People will walk away. They'll say you've changed, and you will have. Because the old version of you was never meant to survive the fire. The old you wanted comfort. The new you craves conquest. The old you avoided risk. The new you breathes it in like air. The old you was waiting for a sign. The new you is the sign. Let the world call you obsessed. Let them laugh. Let them question your silence, your hustle, your strange intensity. One day, they'll call it vision. They'll call it genius. They'll call it destiny. But you'll know better. You'll know it was mindset. You'll know it was discipline. You'll know it was thinking like a winner before you ever won. And that is the quiet revolution. The inner rebellion that changes everything. Not when the bank account is full. Not when the followers show up. But now, here, in this breath, because in this moment, even without a single external result to show for it, you are becoming. You are shifting. You are deciding. You are constructing the future with your thoughts and your choices. So don't wait to win. Win in your mind. Win in your habits. Win in your attitude. Win in your expectations. Win in your silence. Because the future, it doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the deliberate. So now you stand here, on the edge of your own transformation, not in front of a crowd, not under a spotlight, but right where it matters most, inside the arena of your own mind. And the world? It's still the same, still distracted, still doubting, still asleep, but you're awake now. You've seen the blueprint. You've tasted the fire. You've touched the truth that every great one before you lived and breathed. That winning doesn't begin on the podium. It begins in the posture. It begins in the decision. You don't wait for victory to behave like a victor. You live like it's already yours, not with arrogance, but with reverence. Not with noise, but with conviction. Because when you think like a winner before you ever win, the world starts to rearrange itself around your certainty. Doors open that were once sealed shut. People show up who once ignored you. Opportunities rise from places you never saw coming. Not by chance, but by alignment. That's what the world doesn't understand. They think success is magic, that it's luck, that it's some accidental spark. But winners know. Winners build the spark. They become the flame, and eventually they ignite the world around them. This isn't just motivation. This is transformation. This is you unlearning everything weak, inherited, and borrowed. This is you returning to the raw material of greatness that was always in you, buried beneath fear, drowned in conformity, muted by comfort. But not anymore. Because now you move different. You think different. You walk like you know where you're going, even if no one else can see the road. Because you've learned that the world doesn't believe in you until you make belief your native language, until your energy, your posture, your presence forces them to look again. And they will look again. One day they'll say, I always knew you had it in you. But you'll know the truth. You'll remember the nights they didn't see, the mornings they never clapped for, the hours spent in silence, sculpting your mind into a fortress. You'll remember that no one gave this to you. You built it, thought by thought, sacrifice by sacrifice, decision by decision. You became it, because winners aren't born. They are forged. They are born the moment someone chooses to believe without evidence, to act without applause, to rise without reward, to bleed, to sweat, to burn through every excuse, and to smile anyway. That smile? It's not about ego. It's not about pretending. It's about knowing something the world hasn't caught up to yet, knowing that your crown is already on its way, not because of who you are, but because of who you decided to become. So take one final breath and exhale the old story, the doubts, the delays, the excuses. Let them die here. They are not you anymore. From this moment forward, walk like the storm you've survived. Speak like the clarity you've earned. Move like the throne is already beneath your feet. Because the real win, the one that changes everything, happened the day you decided to think like a winner before you ever won. And now it's inevitable.